I see an increasing amount of dogs, especially puppies or younger dogs, wearing prong collars, sleep leads, chalk chains, and stuff like this. This video will be my hot take. Why is it not the best idea? And no matter who recommends it, who tells you on internet or in person, this is not a good idea, especially long term. And here is why. When it comes to old dogs and especially puppies, the main reasons why people resort to prong collars or sleep leads is my puppy is too crazy, they pull like crazy, I can't control them, or my puppy is too reactive. They react like crazy to other dogs, they start barking, lounging, pulling, and stuff like this. So when you use those tools, you feel like, oh, I actually gain control. But unfortunately, this control is very deceiving. It doesn't resolve the issue that's underlying. It doesn't actually help your dog to learn how to be calm on leash, how to be not reactive to other dogs. It just gives you a quick result that looks like control, but long term, it will not work. Because the problem with these tools, they often work until they don't. So let's talk about pulling on leash and reactive. I already have separate videos on this channel where I talk why dogs pull or why they react, what makes them trigger more than other times. If you haven't watched this video, go watch them. So let's take a puppy who's super crazy, they pull on leash. First of all, it's quite normal for puppies to do so. And in order for them to be the dog that's easy to walk, that's easy to be in public, you can take them to any social gathering and places, they need two skills. The skill number one, how to walk on leash calmly without jumping, pulling in all directions. Usually the reason they don't know how to do it because they just need to learn it. And sometimes what happens, we let them pull when they're still young, and when they grow up, they continue pulling. It's just a bad habit. They never learn how to do it properly. It's not natural for dogs to walk on leash nicely next to you. They need to be taught, either specifically through training or through just everyday life when you help them how to do it better. The second thing, the reason they pull like crazy or they react, they get overwhelmed by the stimulation. Unless we give them the skill how to control those emotions, how to stay calm no matter what's exciting stuff is happening, they're not going to stop pulling. So when you use a prong collar or sleep lead, yeah, in the moment you can jerk the leash. The dog is like, oh my God, they're going to choke me. So they listen to you. But again, they're going to listen to you for a while until they stop. Because at some point, some dogs, they're like, I don't care. You can, do whatever. It's going to be painful, but I'm just going to learn to endure this pain. But it's not that the tool itself teaches them how to be calm or, how to listen to you. So what's going to happen? They never learn the skill, and you always have to micromanage the dog, jerk the leash. I know these tools give you quick results. That's why they look like something good, but you will have to micromanage your dog for the rest of your life. Also, you will have to hurt your dog for the rest of their life. Some trainers, some people will tell you, oh, it's not harmful, it's not hurtful. It is hurtful because if it doesn't bring your dog mild or major or even like slight pain, those tools would not work. There is nothing magical in this tool. And if a magical tool existed, why wouldn't I be the person telling you? Imagine like the client comes to me and I tell them, pay me money. I just give you that one magical tool that's going to resolve the issue. Of course, everyone's going to know like, oh my God, Stella, she's the best trainer. She knows all the magical tools. Why wouldn't I do that? Why would I bother creating these videos, doing the trainings if that magical tool existed? The magical tool doesn't exist. The only reason the dog might be under some control because they either experiencing pain from the tool when you engage it, or they're afraid that you're going to engage it. So you build a relationship of the dog constantly expecting the shoe to drop in a bad way. We don't want that. Let me give you another example that's probably going to illustrate better. So let's go back to the pulling the leash. And I said there are two reasons. They never learned a good habit of walking on the leash nicely, and second, they can't control themselves. They need a skill to self-regulate. So two examples. Example number one, imagine you grow up in a culture where everyone is super proper, where you go, have dinner with your family, everyone is using napkins, everyone using forks and knives, and you know where to put your fork, where you put the knife, what spoons to use for what. You're probably going to learn that, and no matter where you go, where you travel, you're going to expect that everyone has the same manners. And maybe another person grew up in a different culture, in a culture where people eat food with their hands. For example, I actually ate some types of food with my hands for a while when I was living in Indonesia because I wanted to embrace that culture. And that's actually fun. But imagine the person who was eating food with hands all their life because that's part of the culture. These people, they do exchange. They go visit each other. Of course, each of the people are going to think like that person is weird. They just don't know how to eat. So the same with us. If the dog grew up from day one learning how to walk properly on leash, they're just going to do it. If they never learn it, they're never going to do it. So whatever part of the culture is in your house, the way how you treat dogs, the way how you teach them to do things, they're either going to do it this way or that way. And don't get me wrong, eating food with hands is not worse or better than eating food with 10 spoons and knives and whatnot. It's just what works for you. If it works for you that your puppy pulls in all the direction, jumps, reacts to people, that's okay. If it doesn't work for you, just spend some time on training. So basically, you just need to give your dog a new habit, something that fits your household better. Second example. Imagine if I decide to teach you how to meditate and I tell you like, hey, let's go to this nice Zen garden, very quiet, birds singing, quiet place. It's probably going to be somewhat easy for you to learn how to meditate, no matter how bad is your ADHD. You will learn it at some point because there is no distractions. Or imagine I bring you in a crazy place, like, I don't know, maybe in a shopping mall, busy shopping mall, maybe in a, I don't know, Target or Walmart on a Black Friday day, I don't know. I bring you to like very busy, very loud, or maybe I bring you in the middle of the playground where kids are playing or something like that. And I ask you to meditate. It's going to be so much harder for you not to get distracted. The same with our puppies or dogs. If we bring them to the place where it's so many things. Imagine the puppy was at home. There are only a few things happening. And now you bring the puppy. Hi, Papa. Hi, Papa. That's not a toy. He's thinking it's a toy. So imagine you bring the dog to the place that's like too exciting for them. It's going to be harder for them for focusing. So bring them to places that are least excitable. Let them learn how to be calm in those places. And then you can slowly increase the difficulty to the point where they will be able to stay calm in excitable places. The same if I teach you how to meditate in a Zen garden and maybe slightly busier place, slightly busier. At some point, you will be able to meditate in the middle of like, I don't know, playground or in the middle of the Disneyland. But to get that skill, you need to start with something easy. And you actually have to have a skill to be able to, ignore the distractions. For dogs, it's really hard to ignore the distractions because they are wired to notice things. They're wired to chase things. They're wired to play with other dogs and interact with other, like chase wildlife and interact with things. If something smells, there are interesting sounds, there is a bird they never heard, of course they are wired to interact with it. So we need to teach them. And there is a training for that. And this training doesn't need to be mean. This training doesn't need to be including, choking them with the leash. It doesn't need to include, physical force or any intimidation. It doesn't need to include yelling at the dog and stuff like that. Okay, this is almost it for my video. One thing I understand that sometimes when you use those tools like prong collar, sleep leads, you just want to fix the issue. You want to get the control over your dog. But two things I want to tell. First, if you spend time training your dog now, you will have the rest of your life with this dog and any other dogs that you might get. You would know how to train your dog. If you don't do it now, until the rest of your life, you're going to have another dog and you're going to have another issue. And the second thing, those tools, they work and they give you control because they're based on fear, intimidation, physical force. That's not the relationship you want with your dog. You want the relationship built on trust, feeling that you are a safe place for a person, that you are a caregiver and stuff like that. If you want this type of relationship, don't use those tools. And if you need somewhat control, there are certain harnesses, for example, an easy walk harness that give you a little bit more control over your dog. So I understand that while you're doing your training process, you still want to be able to walk your dog to control them. At least use other tools they may be not ideal for long term as well. Obviously, long term, you're going to graduate to a normal harness. But at least for now, to get a little bit more control, use the easy walk harness. It will give you control. But you still will have to do the training. Again, that's not a magical tool. It's just less harmful tool, more humane tool than a prong collar or a sleep lead. And if you feel that your dog's issue, behavior problem is too complicated, that's why you need such harsh tool, Here's me telling you there is no breed that needs this tool. There is no problem that can't be resolved without this tool. I work with dogs with complicated behavior cases. I don't use those tools. You can fix the issue without that tool. If you need to talk to somebody about your complicated dog, if you're in San Francisco, you can talk to me in person. Just hire me for a consultation. If you are not in San Francisco, you can still hire me for a virtual consult. At least I will help you and give you information. What is your case about? How to go about it? Maybe I'll recommend a trainer in your area and stuff like that. That's it. See you in my next video.